Now, perhaps, if I had have thought about it long enough, I would have realized what these things are. Although I don't know. At first when I saw them, I thought they were supposed to be some kind of a little vent. Because there's so many other vents on the ship coming up out of the deck, and then I realized, well, no, it wouldn't be there. And then I'm seeing on the bottom here, there's what appear to be little, you might call them legs. And there goes my phone. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back here. Well, that was interesting. That was actually my next door neighbor, and he was saying that he had noticed fresh coyote tracks in the snow, and he was wondering if my surveillance system had perhaps triggered when the coyote ran by. So a little later I'll check and see. It could have been maybe yes, maybe no. And if there is, I'll maybe show it to you at the end of the day, but don't hold your breath. Anyway, let's take a close look here at this thing. It's, when you know what it is, and I can't remember if I mentioned it, it's a signal flag locker. I realized it was some sort of a cabinet for something, but I didn't know what. I was wondering why there was all those little individual little squares, but I had thought that was a grate, and that's what made me think at first it was some sort of an air intake. Anyway, let's move in nice and close on this and have a close look. Now, the reason he was concerned is because he's got a little dog, and if the coyotes start running around in, you might call packs, if that's what you call a bunch of coyotes. Well, if it was a pack of wolves, I suppose it'd be like a pack of coyotes, right? Anyway, he was concerned that, if there's 3 or 4 coyotes running together, they might try and attack his little dog, even though it's on a leash and he's right there. Coyotes can get pretty brazen, you might say, if they're hungry. Anyway, you can see the individual little boxes there. Now, excuse me, one of the viewers is also making this exact same kit, and he sent us a photo of this same part, only from the detailing kit that he's got with it. And the little individual cubby holes are painted to represent the different colored flags. Another viewer was suggesting, why don't I take and paint those little cubby holes different colors? Well, if I take even my smallest brush here, you can see that it would be pretty hard for me to, well, I suppose I could, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm spending so much time videoing here already that if I start taking out, extra time and doing an awful lot of detailing, I'm never going to get this ship done. And I do actually plan on getting to the Rodney eventually. Now, I don't know if I've explained properly what this camera rotator is and why I've got it. I know I sort of mentioned it before. I've just recently started to use it, and I don't know why I didn't use it before, because I've had it for several years. Now, way back when my wife was first diagnosed with Alzheimer's and it was sort of starting to set in, you might say, she would spend quite a bit of time sitting in front of the TV. One of the channels she used to like to watch was a channel called The Frame. And on The Frame, they would just have a camera set up, and it would be shooting a scene of, of a very, pleasant scene, like, a lake or a mountain scene or something like that. Anyway, she used to enjoy that, and I used to think, I could do something like that of, places where we've been and so on, and video it, and I was thinking to myself, I'll bet you I could do it better if the camera would slowly rotate. To to my way of thinking, it would have been better. Now, anyway, I bought this from B&H Photo in New York City, and I never actually used it for what I had planned to use it for. And it just sort of sat on the shelf where I have all my other camera stuff. And it was just the other day, or I guess maybe a couple of months ago now, that I thought, hey, I could put, little tiny pieces like this on it, and it would slowly rotate them, and we'd be able to see them a little clearer, because if there's slight movement, you do get a better perspective of what it is you're looking at. Anyway, that's what this thing is. It can be set. Right now it's turning at its fastest speed. This is as fast as it will go. I would, for showing a little tiny part, I would prefer if it went faster, but it doesn't. Anyway, that's what this thing is all about. It was something that I had originally bought, thinking that I could use it to do videoing similar to what you see on the frame. And incidentally, it will be 3 years ago tomorrow that my wife passed away from Alzheimer's. Now, it is about 24 hours ago that we re-glued everything here. We re-glued here with CA glue, and also here. And this joint down here we used extra thin. Now, I have not removed this little support. This is going to be the first time. I'm almost positive this is going to hold. But what I think is going to happen is this little bottom one right here that I'm touching right now is probably going to buckle worse than it already is. Now, this is, like I say, this is going to be the first time. Well, it didn't buckle near as bad as I thought. Now, you can't see it, but this one here is bowed right here to the right, and I'm going to just try and straighten it. Okay, that looks better to me. Let me check the monitor and see how the horizontal is. No, it's not too bad. Now, this one here has to come down. It's kind of hard to get it just right. It's got to go up. It has to go up right here and down here. I'm just wondering if perhaps I should leave well enough alone here, because if I try to straighten it, now there's another way I could try. Where's my holder downer here? Now, if I was to put the holder downer on it like a fork, no, it's not working either. Probably going to end up with a real bad kink. If I was to maybe hold it up with my finger and push down. See, it's... Let me check the monitor. It is somewhat better in that it doesn't go up and down like a roller coaster. I think that's better. Yeah, that's quite a bit better. At least I think it is. I'm sure I'm going to get comments on that it's not quite right, but that's all right. I appreciate the comments. All of the comments. Even the thumbs down. If somebody gives me a thumbs down, I think, well, at least somebody watched. Now, if you remember, we've had a bit of a problem here. No, I'm going to leave well enough alone. I am going to repaint that, though. I've scratched the paint off it. I can see photo etch, brass photo etch glinting through. Maybe I should do that right now. Now, before I get going here and actually start to repair this where I scratched the paint off, by the way, this is going to be the Tamiya 66, not the 77. But I want you to notice you can just see the top of the hose reel here. Now, Jim Steen was mentioning how the hose reels that came with his detailing kit, they were painted red. I don't know how red, but now he was wondering if that red was authentic, like were the hoses red. I sort of faintly can remember seeing red hoses when I was a kid, so it sort of makes sense. Anyway, just sort of rambling here. Okay, let's get a little bit of paint on our little tiny brush, and we'll just sort of try and fix this. I think the best thing to do is just go right along the entire rail. And I don't want to be getting any on my boat. Now I'm going to try and drag it across so that it will get the other side. Now I can't see the other side, so I don't know if I've got any paint broken off there or not. In all likelihood there was. I do believe that this is going to be better once it dries. Almost looks like I didn't get it right there. Is it just my imagination? No, I guess it's just the way there's a bit of a bend in the photo etch rail. Okay, this is going to look better once it's dry, I'm pretty sure. Now, I did a lot of workshop videos. Like, I know we're up to episode number 706 today on the model ship, but I probably did more workshop videos than I have model videos. In other words, up to 2 years ago, I was down in my basement a lot, and when I was down there, I would often do something where I would show my finger being very close to the blade, especially on the table saw, when I'd be shoving a piece of work through the blade, between the fence and the blade, and I would be getting comments about how my fingers were too close to the blade. And and I would say something to the effect of, well, if you keep your eye on the blade, you're not going to stick your fingers in the blade. And my line of thinking was that, let's say you've got a stove. Here in Winnipeg we pretty well all have electric stoves. There's a few people have gas stoves, but most are electric because here in Winnipeg electricity is so dirt cheap. In fact, I mentioned this before, a lot of people heat their residences with electricity here in Winnipeg. Probably, I'm guessing, half of the residences, especially all the apartment blocks, would be electrically heated, not gas-fired boilers. Well, we use renewable energy here in Manitoba, like Winnipeg, Manitoba, and like hydroelectric. So it's kind of almost like free energy. It doesn't pollute. What's bad about it is you have to flood some land sometimes to, in order to have a reservoir. But anyway, I'm rambling again. Anyway, if you keep your eye on the hot element on the stove, and you're not going to stick your finger on it. And my thinking is that maybe what I should do with this ship is that when I'm going to reach for something, and like when I'm reaching over to get something, and that's usually when I'll catch on it. If I'm watching what I'm doing, or my fragile parts here, if I'm watching them, I'm not going to catch my hand on it. It's just a thought, If I keep your eye on the fragile part, you're not going to break it off. Well, kind of makes sense. Anyway. Okay, now for our signal flag lockers, and my safety wire that I just put on is kind of in the way here now. Okay, so it's got to go like that. I think they're going to fit okay. already put some on the legs of the locker. I guess you've concluded that that was extra thin. Now I'm looking at it more or less straight down. I can see that it looks pretty good. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, I think possibly just a tiny bit. I want it to be the same as the other. Okay, I think once that evaporates, it's going to be a pretty strong fit. They will break off easily, so I am going to have to be careful. Oh, I dropped my little part here. All right, one more to go. Wrong way. Yeah, that's better. Now, if we get it the right angle to start with, maybe this time I'll do it the other way. I'll do this first, and then I'll do the legs. Starting to get kind of shaky. Maybe it's time to wrap this video out. Okay. All right, once again, I'm looking more or less straight down on them, and they do appear to be perpendicular. Okay, maybe we can look at it from a different perspective and you can sort of see what's happened here. I'm afraid that is it for today, folks. Thank you for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.